All right, peace, peace. Vargani, Islam, Salam, Hetepu, Rahubat, Gino Laco Ninani, Chief Noble Bandele El Amin, back again. And I got my brother, we call him Brother Jamil. He's on the line with us. And today we're going to be discussing basically a part of Black history. We're going to be giving our segment on the missing part of Black history. So before we get into that, please like the video or anything like that. Please like, subscribe to the channel. You can check us out on indigenousservices.webs.com. That's indigenousservices.web.com. And Brother Jamil, where can they reach you at?
Hit me up on Instagram, BlackFamilyTrees, BlackFamilyTrees. If you want to get your family tree done, hit me up. Genealogy Services, Instagram. Hit me up, BlackFamilyTrees.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, like we said, today's topic really is about, this is Black History Month, and so we've given our segment of what we feel like is missing out of Black history, you know, and basically looking at Black History Month, we see that it only goes back so far. It only goes back predominantly at the most 1619. So, you know, what we want to do today is give you a bigger picture of Black history. And hopefully we can show a connection between, you know, this history that we're showing, how it does relate to Black History Month, you know. With that being said, anything you want to add to that, brother?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely is definitely a connection, and it's so important that we begin to connect with the African history, because the connection is definitely there. It's just not presented to us. It's not presented to us in school. It's not presented to us in the media, but it's definitely there. And we've been running around talking about, oh, we don't know our history. We don't know where we come from. We don't know our culture, none of that for so long. But right now is the time that we're going to begin to connect back with that. So that's what we're getting into today.
Must said. So, that being said, man, what we got here, we got a timeline that we got working. So, I want to use this timeline. This is your timeline that you have created, dealing with the African history, predominantly West African history. Yeah. So, you know, basically they're showing this connection between West African history and you know, slavery and Black History Month. So let me see. Okay, so let's get into this though. I'm gonna see if I can share this screen and see if we can check it out. Because I mean, like, it's really fascinating. It's really a fascinating thing, because this is weird.
Yeah, it's really a hidden history, because the scholars, these scholars over here, the Western scholars, they know the tribes we was from. We always been talking about, well, we don't know the tribes we was from. We don't know the cultures we was from. We don't know the kings. We don't know the queens. We don't know about the empires. But we finna look at some of that today. You know, me and the brother Bandele, you know, we gonna present some of this information to y'all, and we need to begin to transform the way that we look at Black history, because it is a history beyond slavery.
Definitely. And check out, by the way, y'all check out this book. Is going to be, some of what we're talking about today is coming from this book. So you can check out my book, Indigenous Manual for Life, Lifestyle for a New Age. Check that out on Amazon. Okay. So, all right. So check it out. Let's go into the timeline, y'all. So we got this timeline, and basically now the timeline is a lot bigger and extensive for West Africa or West, you know what I'm saying? But for the sake of the show, we're gonna start with the most significant place, and that's like 450 AD. If you see 450 AD, basically this right here is what is okay? So it says the Soninke legend Dinga migrated to West Africa from somewhere in the Middle East. Some sources say from Yemen. What's that? Baya? How you say that, man? Baya Jida?
Baya Jida.
And right, okay.
Jida.
Barajida, Bayajida, a Baghdad prince, and founded the Hausa states. Nimi and Lukini, founds of the Congo Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my fault.
So what's the base on that?
I was reading the next one. My fault. But it was basically, we talking about Soninke. He founded West Africa in the middle, coming from the Middle East. It says some sources say from Yemen. So let's start with that. Man. So what do you have to add to that or say about that?
I think it's a really interesting story. We talking about the Soninke people. The Dinga, he's a Soninke hero, and he founded one of the first empires in West Africa. He helped founded one of the first empires in West Africa. Dinga, they say he came from Yemen, which is very interesting that he basically came almost from the Middle East. He basically came from the Middle East. It's a very interesting story and legend, and he's a very important figure that we need to begin to connect back with. Dinga from the Soninke, like that's definitely one of the kings and queens, you know, that we definitely need to connect back with. I don't know if you got anything to add to that. I do find it really interesting that he was from Yemen, and how important Yemen is. I do find that very interesting. That's more around, I think, your expertise. I don't know if you anything for that.
Like with Yemen, you know, when I think of Yemen, I think of the Queen Makeda or Queen Sheba. So I mean, when I think of that area, I think of like, this is in 450, so this is kind of before Islam, and people were still practicing the old ways before Islam. So, you know, him migrating out of Middle East in that time, that is interesting in itself, and I would like to do some more research and understanding on that time frame. But that is odd, man, that, you know, you got this West African that migrates all the way from the Middle East. You know, like that story would be very interesting to like, man, somebody need to do a movie on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's for real. That's some real heavy stuff, man. For real. So I mean, so we talk about in 450 AD. So we got here 450 AD. I mean, like that. When we talk about 450 AD, when we look at that in like against other timelines, 450 AD, you talking about like toward the end of Rome. Like Rome is close to the end.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So at the time, you know, that there's this changing going on in Rome, in Europe. Here in Africa, you got, you know, him coming from here and about to start a great kingdom. So it's like they about to go into a I won't say a golden age, but they seem like they about to come into an age of expansion and wealth. If, you know. So now we like, if we look at the next one, man, like 950 AD. 950 AD. Go ahead. Are you looking at? Can you read it?
Yeah, I can see it. And then it is a jump. And might I finally add? I don't know if I mentioned that before, but the Soninke founded the Ghana or Wagadu Empire. That's the first known empire in West Africa. Would have covered, places like Senegal, going into Mali, and just look up a map to see where that's at. So Dinga, I mean, in Ghana, the Ghana or Wagadu, that was a very, very important empire, very rich in gold and all type of resources, and it's definitely not given any type of credit, but that's where our heritage can be linked towards is places like Ghana, and also places like we jumped into Bajida. Say Bajida was a Baghdad prince, who came to northern Nigeria from Egypt, and according to some of the legends, he brought a group of Canaanites with him to northern Nigeria, and founded the Hausa states, which would later become an empire within itself. The Hausa people, which were taken in the transatlantic slave trade to the New World. They were taken to the United States, and the Caribbeans and South America and all that during the transatlantic slave trade. The Hausa people, and even we was just talking about the Soninke people. That's Soninke are part of a larger group called the Mande group, and there were many Mande groups that were brought here to the United States and to the New World, the Caribbeans and South America, Mexico, Canada during the transatlantic slave trade, and that's where we find our link, our genetic our heritage back to ultimately. But yeah, Bahajida, gotta look him up. He's definitely an important figure. There's legends by him. One of the kings, one of the African kings that they don't talk about in school. They don't talk about on TV. But he's definitely a well-known figure in Africa, and he's in the history books. If you can find him, if you got if you can find the right information. But yeah, let's go ahead though.
No, you good, brother. You good. So I guess what we're at 1180 AD.
I mean, so what would you say about that? I mean, from your own perspective, from a Morris perspective, like what is that? I don't know. Translate to like somebody like Bahajida. This is legendary. And they still have the legends about him. I mean, what would that? You have anything to?
I mean, once again, you find another person coming from what we call today the Middle East. Once again, someone from the Middle East is coming from there to find, this African kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And being a Baghdad prince, I mean, like from the name and all that, it sounds like in this time frame, you're looking at Islam being, what are we looking at? This is 950 AD. So I mean, Islam has spread in the Middle East and has spread through Africa. So, that's another thing to think about. I mean, you got a lot of travel from Islamic countries into Africa at this time, and that that right there itself becoming, it seemed like they're Islamic group of people. So dealing with, even with the Moors in North Africa, they would probably have some. You could definitely see there would probably be some type of relationship with them, being that they're Islamic.
Yeah,
Definitely, So, uh, so let's see. We like at 1180 AD, right? And that's a couple hundred years later. So, you can read that one too, man.
oh yeah, and of course we know it's all types of other things going on in the background. This is just a few samples of some of the things that were going on. It's so many things that were going on. It would take volumes and encyclopedias upon encyclopedias to really take full account of everything that happened. So we jumped to the Kingdom of Congo. Um, the Kingdom of Congo is definitely in West Africa. It's more south, but it's a lot of people who are definitely brought to United States, the Caribbean, South America, all that from the Kingdom of Congo. It's a place in Louisiana called Congo Square. If you ever done been to New Orleans and then been, to Congo Square, you know, you can. It's very clear that there's some type of link. And the Congo was a Bantu kingdom. So
Yeah,
we got Nimi Lukini found in the Congo Kingdom, another African king right here. Live with Brother Bandele and Brother Jamil, Nimi Lukini. I mean, why we ain't talking about that in Black History Month?
man, you ain't lying. I mean, definitely, I see what you're saying, like the connection. Um, Now, when they say the Congo, they spell with a K. Now you got the modern day Congo. Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, basically just about that same area. It's not the same exact um, territory, but at the same time, though these modern countries take the name from that kingdom, that kingdom that existed during the Middle Ages.
Right, kind of like Ghana, right?
Right, right.
So definitely um, important, right? So then we got what we at 1235 AD. 1235 AD. Now this is important. I mean, not to say that the rest are not, but this is important because you got the Mali. The Mali Empire is founded by Mandinka people and lead by Sanjata Keita. So, okay. Now, the Mali Empire, we all know the Mali Empire. Mali, these are like what we hear a lot about in African history. And when we talk, this is the part that they do talk about, like when they talk about African history. When you, like, I took a college course, they did talk about Mali, Timbuktu, right? So now we talking about this empire. It's calling itself an empire. The Mandinka people. Now, uh, tell us a little bit about Mandinka and its connections to slavery. You there? Yo, yo. Hold on. You froze?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's not showing my picture, but
Okay. Okay. Well, okay, y'all. We we had a little issue, so we back, and we was gonna start back up. Hopefully he can get back up online or whatnot, or get back on a picture or whatever. But we was at 1235 AD. I'm gonna see if I can pull that up again. When we was talking about Mali Empire was founded.
and this is really fire. This is fire information y'all getting right here. You know, tuning in to this channel right here, man. This is fire information y'all getting right here. We bring it back to the foundations of empires, of black empires that been hidden from us for a couple hundred years,
Right.
but but we but we but we connecting back to that, you know. We we connecting back to that. So
Exactly, man. But you know, like I said, we're dealing with the Mali Empire. The Mali Empire is like a major empire. I mean, when you think of like Mansa Musa, right?
right.
When he probably be the most famous Mandinka, right?
And this is your heritage. This is your heritage, people. The Mandinka, the Mandinka tribe. This is your heritage. Why they don't connect this back to Black history? Huh? Why it always started at 1619 when this is where you come from? Mali
So let me
Empire.
ask
This
you
is
this.
your history right here.
Let me ask you this. We talk about roots. We talk about this movie Roots. Wasn't that where they was capturing them from?
Was they capturing them from Mali? Well, yeah,
Not,
Mandinka
not
people,
Mali.
yep, and roots. Kunta Kinte in the new roots. Kunta Kinte is a Mandinka man from I believe Senegal, because after the Mali Empire failed, I mean the Mali Empire was Senegal was part of the Mali Empire. So you know, yeah, Kunta Kinte in the new roots was a Mandinka.
Exactly. Exactly. So you would say, I mean, even though I know it's a fictional thing, I get that, but um, do you feel like, I mean, like they take like that was fictional, but it was like they was doing it based on some reality. They were doing it based on the reality that the Mandinka people were part of the slave trade. And you said there was, so like how big would you think the empire was?
The empire was gigantic. It was huge. The Mali Empire was huge, and it was also wealthy,
Very,
very wealthy.
very. I mean, like we talked, like we said, Mansa Musa. I mean, he was the richest man in history, and he
Man,
was a ruler of Mali.
and we got it right here. We got it right here. This is our heritage, our culture, our ancestry. Sunjata Keita, Sundiata Keita, right here, founded the Mali Empire on the timeline. Why is this not included in Black history at all? Why 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 is this not included in Black history? But we got it right here. We got it right here for y'all. If you never heard of it before, you hearing it here for the first time. We going back further. We going back to the empires and kingdoms right here.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you ain't subscribed and liking it, what are you doing? If you ain't subscribed and liking, what are you doing? If you're not
Man,
following Brother
definitely.
Bandele and you ain't following me, then you're gonna miss out on this information because we're gonna keep on we finna go deeper into it.
Most deaf. You there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Definitely, man. We're gonna get into this, man. Like we're gonna keep getting deeper into it. But definitely making a connection. So we like at 1300, right?
Mm-hmm.
1300. So go ahead with that one.
Oh, 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 talking about Oyo. This is such an important part of your heritage. Everybody, all the listeners, man. If you listening to this, you need to write this down. Write this down and subscribe to the channel. We
No
got
doubt.
Oramian, found Oyo. Oyo is the Yoruba. So we talking about
Tell us.
Santeria and all type of stuff. I mean, there's so many. If anything, look. If anything, they won't tell you where you're from, but they might tell you from the Yoruba. So it's no doubt that we from the Yoruba. We the Yoruba Oramian, Browns Oyo. That's so
Right.
important. That's a part of our lost history right there. That's a gem right there.
I mean, it has been shown that, there was a mixture of people coming and a lot of them practiced were Yoruba that came over to the America, which you find a big portion of that in Brazil, the
Mm-hmm.
Santeria, because I mean they got the biggest population of Africans outside of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only fair to show that hey, you can see they're coming from this area because a lot of them are practicing Yoruba in the form of Santeria.
Let them
So
know.
yeah, definitely, man. So how like Oyo, how important is Oyo to Yoruba people?
The Oyo was the empire. It was the empire. Oyo had such an important impact on history. Period. Oyo was great in so many ways, and you know what? We're gonna talk about the kings and queens of Oyo. If you tuning in to this channel, you're gonna learn about that. We're talking about Oranian right now, founds Oyo. I mean, the Oyo Empire was one of the main empires in Nigeria back in the day, and there were so many wars, and it was and with war, they was conquering territory. They were building up a great empire, and through that, they went through many wars and had to fight a lot of people, and these wars produce prisoners of war, or people who was prisoners because of the war and was traded as slaves and brought here to the United States, the New World, and the Caribbean. And this is our heritage. This is your heritage. The Yoruba people. These is the kings and the queens. This is it right here. I mean, and the brother Bandele, he talked about. I believe you talked about it in the indigenous menu. Didn't you kind of expound on
Yeah,
on Yoruba culture and the indigenous menu for life, brother?
yeah, exactly. If you look in there, you'll find the Ifa and the stories of Yoruba people in that book. So, I kind of show where there was a practice that we use that we have already that we could use as a tool to replace what we already doing, and we can go back to that. So yeah, I mean, but with this Oyo Empire, it does say that it was like a very powerful empire in West Africa. They said they made up parts of um, present day Eastern Benin and Western Nigeria. So we definitely know, that a lot of slaves and whatnot was brought out of that area of Benin. And Benin is very heavily influenced with what we call voodoo or voodoo today. Um, so I don't know anything else you wanted to say on that. I mean, because I know it's important.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get more into it. We're gonna get more into it. And if you want to learn more about the IFA, that's heat right there. Go get that Indigenous Manual for Life if you ain't already got it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It goes a little bit more into what we're talking about. So definitely. Uh, so now the timeline starts to show. Really, this is the first time we're going to talk about non-African people. And it talks about so we're talking about 1460 AD. You got the Portuguese begin to travel and trade with Africa. So it's 1460. Now, this would be around the time that Christopher Columbus, was around. Okay, like this. I mean, I'm talking about Christopher Columbus before you know him as the man who founded the so-called New World. We talking about his work before then. He was up and down the coastlines of Africa, and we talking about the Portuguese. The Portuguese were the first. Portuguese was really the first to start the slave trade. I mean, I'm just saying they were the first. The Portuguese was the first, and if I'm not mistaken, Brazil is a Portuguese territory. They speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I mean, like, what is what are your thoughts on this, man? Because you put this timeline together. What was the significance of you?
As far as the Portuguese go, I really put that in there just so we can have an idea around the time some of the slave trade has started. And mind you, I mean, it's a lot. It was a lot of stuff that was going on. We kind of only really gave y'all a sample. Before the Portuguese got here, it was a lot of stuff that was going on. Okay, so it wasn't just like we the timeline is all where the Portuguese got here, and I mean it was a lot of stuff before that also, but I wanted to put the Portuguese got there around that time so we can have an idea around the time when the slave trade really kind of started to kick off.
I got you. I got you. So, I mean, and that makes sense about that time. Like I said, that was like the right before the slave trade jumped out. So, I mean, like, so really, like you said, in another same year, in the same year, you got the fall of Mali. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting, man.
Mm-hmm.
Fall of Mali at the same time. I mean, like, that's kind of like, I don't know, coincidence. That's not a coincidence, but I mean, would you say the Portuguese had something to do with the fall of Mali?
Hell no. Hell no. No way, Jose.
Or,
That's the fall of Mali just generally happened that decade. It's just a coincidence. Um, it's just a coincidence. The Portuguese See, we get a lot of people got this misconception that the Europeans were just so powerful and technologically advanced that they could just go up in Africa and destroy and throw nets over people and just drag them on down to the Caribbean as hostages, when in reality the Portuguese and the English and all of the other Europeans, they came mostly as allies. They came on friendly terms. They came on friendly terms looking to trade and to politic, basically. They didn't come over there, just uh, lining people up and just throwing them on the boat because they was just the shit. So, yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't say the Portuguese didn't have anything to do with Mali falling for real. I don't say no, none at all for real.
Well, at least did they benefit
That
from it?
benefited. They definitely would have benefited because once Mali fell, it left a void in the power structure. So you had a lot of different people who was trying to fill the void that Mali left. So it would have been a lot of war. It would have been a lot of battling, people trying to fill the position, trying to be the next empire. So it was a
Right.
lot of war going on. And whenever you have war, you're gonna have prisoners of war, and prisoners of war will be enslaved and be sold off as slaves.
Bingo. Bingo. So that's interesting indeed. So basically, but you had the fall of Mali, and it's saying really within a couple of years, 2 to 4 years, we're talking about Sani Ali founds the Songhai Empire. Now, go ahead. You gonna say something?
No, I mean, go ahead. I mean,
It's just funny. Ali, like it just ties back to like Muhammad Ali, Noble Drew Ali. It's just like funny that you find these Islamic names back then, and these are African empire.
empires, African empires,
This one definitely Islamic.
definitely.
Definitely Islamic. Yeah.
So wait a minute. I mean, this is definitely. I mean, it's definitely Islamic. It's definitely Islamic, undoubtedly, uh, from the start. I mean, even Ouagadougou or even Ghana, the Ghana Empire, the very first one that we was talking about with
Dinga.
Dinga, yes, with Dinga, they were Islamic at some point. Maybe not from the very start, but at some point, the kings of Ghana or the Ouagadougou Empire were converted to Muslims.
Okay. Right. Right. So, like you said, I mean, really, most of these African African civilizations at this point are pretty much Islamic
And you
in
know what?
nature.
You know what? I would add to this too because I do think this is important too. At some point, they didn't. It wasn't always Africa. They called this the West Sudan. The Western Sudanese empires. I mean, even in the history books, when you go and look up this information, they refer to these empires of West Sudanese empires. So I just
Okay.
wanted to throw that in. But the West Sudanese empires will be like Mali, Ghana, the Songhai.
I
But
got you.
that's just a little gem out there, for the people.
Right. So it's interesting. I guess in the next forum, I don't want to get that far ahead of myself, but that
I mean,
Sonny.
Sonny Ali, and we're not even really going really deep into this, but Sonny Ali founds the Songhai Empire. It's such an important event, and we could really do multiple videos just on Sonny Ali himself. I just wanted to put that out there because we's really dropping heat on y'all tonight. Me and the brother
So where do you
Bandele.
think he's from? You
Huh?
there?
Yeah.
Oh, where do you think Sonny Ali comes from? Where do you think he's from?
Where do I think he's from? I believe he was Songhai. The Songhai is also a tribe. The Songhai people is also a tribe. But Songhai, it was the Songhai Empire reached all the way from damn near Niger all the way to Senegal, probably even in the
So
Chad. Maybe even I think it even reached into Libya. It might even reached into Libya to some extent.
okay.
So, but he was from. I know he was from. I believe he was from Gao because that's where Songhai. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. That's a very good question. But my best guess that he was from the town of Gao, but that's neither here nor there. We can
And it's interesting that it formed really in 1464. So it's like, how long did the Songhai Empire last?
yeah, Songhai did not last a long time, maybe a couple hundred years, but the Songhai Empire. I mean, Songhai as a kingdom or as a state or as an ethnic group goes back, all the way back to what did we say before? Was it around 800 AD? But it was around this time that Songhai grew into an empire because after Mali had fell, basically what Songhai did was take the territory that Mali had left and made it part of its empire, and it became an empire. But I mean, even Mali, to a certain extent, lived on. It may not have been an empire anymore. It wasn't the empire that it used to be.
Right.
But it's the same thing with Songhai.
Okay. I got you.
But the Songhai Empire, it only lasts a couple hundred years. But Songhai, as a ethnic group and as a kingdom or a state, it goes back way further than the empire does.
I got you. So, um, so was there anything else that you wanted to say about him
No,
right
I
now?
mean, do you want to throw anything on there? I mean,
Nah,
I mean, how did this relate? I mean, from your perspective, like, how did this relate to the Moors? Like, would you? I mean, I think it would have be even definitely fair to consider these people as Moors. If you want to, I mean, what was from a Moors perspective to the people who listening in who are Moors and wondering about
I
and
mean, like, I think that they would definitely be considered Moors. A lot of times, this is why the Sultan of Morocco allowed them to be under the Moorish dominion because they were brothers in Islam as well. I mean, these were Islamic empires. These people, uh, were well read and they knew how to read the Qurans and this is that things of nature. And that Islamic influence plays a part in, you know, Moorish Moorish history. And I think that's kind of the tie as well, too, because the influence of Islam into these African countries allowed allowed Moors to be in a lot of areas. Like it allowed them to spread into a lot of areas and not civilized, but to set up shop there. Like for them to settle there and become part kind of the culture and bringing Islam as well. So I feel like that is the biggest part of it, is that the fact that they brought that knowledge and they brought Islam that ties these people together over large areas of an empire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot. I mean, and we know a lot of Moors were in that area. You know, like a lot of Moors were in North and West Africa, and that's what they talk about. So I mean, like a lot of this is in Northwest Africa. Like Mali and all them is really considered Islamic states, and I mean, almost considered Middle East. Like they look at the Mali and them almost like they Upper Sudan, or like they're not part of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but so it kind of like I said, it's in that area. So it's like there was some Moors. You know that they were in that area. You know that they settled in that area. You know that. Like Mali and all those places. Yeah, like we don't think about that. We don't think about those little countries like that. I mean, like we think of Moors, we just think of North Africa, but we don't think like Mali and all them was all Islamic and they were part of. They kind of connected with North Africa and had a relationship with North Africa. And there was a lot of trading, and there was a lot of trading going on. There was a lot of travel going on because they had that relationship. So I definitely feel like Moorish influence and lifestyle and all that played a part in this time. I don't know, but now, matter of fact, didn't the Morocco, didn't they defeat, was it the Songhai Empire? Was
Uh,
it, or was
I
it
mean,
not?
when it goes to that, we look at the history of Africa in general. It was wars everywhere. I mean, the Yoruba fought against the Yoruba, Igbo against Igbo, Igbo against the Yoruba. So, I mean, for us to, take that into consideration that, I mean, it was like anybody can get it type thing. I mean, I think that we can take that into account, but it was also a lot of mixing and connect. It was a deep connection between those people. At the end of the day, rather if it was some fighting going on, it's like brother versus brother. Cousin versus cousin. You feel me? I mean, and at the end of the day, you can't tell one story without the other, and you couldn't have one kingdom or empire without the other. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, but it's like, okay, because like I said, you had Bantu versus Bantu. It was civil war going on. I mean, it was all type of stuff going on. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, you can even put that out there just to even show how interconnected the histories are. People try to make it seem like it was a border between so-called North Africa and so-called Sub-Saharan Africa, but when we really look at the history, these people lived amongst each other. They lived amongst each other. They lived with each other for thousands of years, and you can't have one without the other. I mean, you can't. It wouldn't have been no Morocco without uh, without Mali and Ghana, and it wouldn't have been no Ghana and Mali without a Morocco. I mean, you could argue. So yeah, I
Gotcha.
mean, I'm happy you
Right.
threw that in there so we can clear that up, because some people will be like, well, the Moroccans, they don't got nothing to do with Mali, or they don't got nothing to do with Sub-Saharan Africa. They hated them. Matter of fact, they destroyed their empire. Like, nah, that's not a good. That's not an accurate or a fair perspective right there. It's so many levels to what actually happened. So
Gotcha. I got you. So I'm looking at this, and basically it was saying that Songhai would basically cover the modern states that we know today as the Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, Nigeria, Guinea, Gambia, and Algeria, and uh, Burkina Faso.
So, well, wait a minute. You said Songhai went to Algeria too?
I'm saying this is what they're saying, the Songhai
Oh,
Empire.
see, I didn't know that.
So I'm
I
like,
mean,
that's a lot, like Mauritania and all that. Like, that's Moorish place. That's Moorish. Anyway,
right.
I mean, I
And we
would,
also know, I mean, that the if we want to go, I mean, if you want to say that the Moors was specifically Berber people or North Africans or all that, I mean, they was there in Mali and Timbuktu. Timbuktu, according to legend, Timbuktu was founded by a Moorish woman, a Berber woman named I think her name was Timbuktu. It was an important place for the Tuareg people. Tuareg people. So I mean, it was part of the empire. I mean, it was a
right,
place where you know the Berbers are Amazigh people and Mandinka and Mende people and all types of other people from almost you could say almost across I ain't gonna say across the world, but from different continents or different places came and met and traded in Timbuktu. So it's just part of the Mali Empire, the Mandinka Empire. Some people call it the Mandinka Empire. Some people call it the Mali Empire. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's even Bornu, Kanem Bornu, which is further east near Lake Chad, which is kind of like near the Chad Niger region. Part of that empire reached into Libya. So it's and we haven't even begun to get deep into that how connected North Africa and Amazigh and so-called Sub-Saharan Africa, or if you want to call it uh, West Sudan, how interconnected these people were. But
you're
we
right.
like
You're right. Now, I mean, this probably would be a good place to stop at the end of this page.
we want to stop there.
Do another segment. Yeah, we can do another segment, man. But like, I think this is good information. I feel like this right here is the groundwork for you know for later on, like because like all this that we talk about in this timeline is from before really a lot of slavery. You know, this is really like this timeline. Basically, where we stop, this timeline is really um, it's really pre-slavery.
Right. So
Like,
we just only touched on the foundations. We didn't even really we kind of stopped where Christopher Columbus got to America, and we didn't even get into that much. We only gave a few examples right there. I mean, it was really kind of condensed to a few events that we think that that y'all would enjoy, and so
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it's a lot
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I mean, like we just getting started. I mean, like, but like I said, this is foundation. You're saying the founding fathers, if you will, of West Africa. Okay, these are the founding fathers. So, like, that's important to Black history. Okay, but really, these are the founding fathers of a great majority of people here in the Americas. And like I said, it stops right at when slavery is about to really jump off. Christopher Columbus sailing to America was basically the start of what we know as Western slave trade. So, this is the foundation of this right here is really like that glimpse of a few hundred years before slavery came in and impacted Africa. This is right here. What we're showing really is like the Islamic influence on Africa as well. Like you see very much that whole region um, became powerful and things of that nature because of its really a lot of it had to do with its Islamic background. I'm not saying that the Africans couldn't do anything, but I'm saying because of Islam, the ability to write down stuff, technology, these things of that nature, you start to see like these kingdoms starting to form. So, um, and then for us to see that these are the same kingdoms that um, scholars and historians have told us time and time again that predominantly a lot of the slaves come from these regions. So it's going to be interesting to get further into this, like when we start actually looking at more people, uh, and like looking at more people in their ethnicity and where they come from, their nationality or their tribe, if you will. We're gonna start breaking it down. So, hey man, it was a good show, man. We'll get back on the next part of this series we're having. So, Black History series. We've got probably another show to do. So
Yeah, I mean, and like we were saying, we haven't even gotten to it. I think the next episode we can actually start showing actual people, actual instances of people who were brought here, and it was recorded which tribes that they was from, and which
exactly,
places that they was from.
exactly.
So we gonna get into that. A lot of people who have been kind of scrubbed from Black history definitely tune in for the next episode. Before we cut out, definitely follow me on Instagram if you can. Black Family Trees. Thanks, brother Bandele, for having me. Much love to
Always,
all the
brother.
people out there.
Brother Jamil, always. Peace and love, man.